Liang and the sword comes, the sword and Tao of Haoran world. In the grand narrative of the Haoran world, Liang stands as a singular figure, born the direct son of the second sage of Confucianism. He bore the glory and expectations of a prestigious scholarly clan, yet as a sword cultivator, he lived beyond the bounds of convention, growing into a legendary figure unreally true to his heart. His life was a collision of sword and Tao, a steadfast devotion to affection and loyalty, and the most profound interpretation of the word chivalry. Liang's given name is Liang. Hailing from the Central Earth divine continent, he was meant to follow his family's wishes, studying the 4 branches of literature in the Confucian palaces, to become a great Confucian scholar. Yet a rebellious streak ran in his bones. He scorned the rigid rituals of Confucianism and was instead obsessed with the decisive, ruthless sword Tao. This innate defiance destined him to stray far from his family's hopes. At 14, he came upon the young Qi Jingchun being bullied, drew his sword to scare off the tormentors, and uttered the line, "My name is a Liang, as in kindness." Thus began a lifelong bond between the two, a friendship that would drive many of his later deeds. Outraged by the injustice inflicted on the school of the literary sage and the dispute between the 3rd and 4th sages, Liang stormed the Confucian palaces with his sword. Alone, he challenged the rules and authority of Confucianism. While his act spoke up for the literary sage's lineage, it utterly disappointed his father. The 2nd sage, in the end, he was disowned and exiled to the Sword Key Great Wall, the front line between humanity and the monster clan, where he would hone his sword Tao and forge his legend. During his long years at the Sword Key Great Wall, Liang cast off the vanity of a noble clansman and forged an unyielding spirit. He became one of the 4 unruly fiends on the wall, writing the glory of sword cultivators with his sword as a brush and his blood as ink. In the 13 Realms dispute, a battle that decided the wall's fate, he fought as the final sword cultivator, facing a peak 13th Realm Monster King at the height of the Ascension Realm. In that clash, he wore a bamboo saber at his waist and held a long sword in hand, slaying the Monster King with an earth-shaking strike and seizing all the Monster Clan's sword weapons for the wall. After the battle, he carved the character Fierce into the city wall and left with casual grace. This character was both a testament to his sword Tao and a subtle declaration of his identity as the worthless son of the Meng clan, becoming an immortal symbol of glory on the Sword Key Great Wall. After leaving the wall, Liang accepted his close friend Qi Jingchun's request to escort Chen Pinggan out of the Lezu small cave heaven. This journey was not only a fulfillment of his promise to an old friend, but also a pivotal chapter in passing down his sword Tao and shaping the younger generation. Along the way, he met Wei Jin of the Wind and Snow Temple. Impressed by Wei Jin's sword Tao talent, he taught him the principles of the sword and imparted his self-created 18 pauses of sword ki, helping Wei Jin break through his cultivation realm. For Chen Pinggan, Liang poured in endless care. He set 3 major trials, testing the young man whom Qi Jingchun held in high regard as his junior brother, in temperament, courage, and responsibility. When Chen Pinggan passed all tests, Liang taught him the 18 pauses of sword ki without reservation, laying the foundation for his path as a sword cultivator. More importantly, through his words and deeds, he taught Chen Pinggan that the sword heart is the human heart, and a sword cultivator must have a heart of protection, becoming the most important guide on Chen Pinggan's sword journey. Qi Jingchun's death was the heaviest turning point in Liang's life. To avenge his beloved friend, he stormed the capital of the Great Li Kingdom alone, staging the earth-shaking sword slaying of the fake White Jade capital. Facing the fake White Jade capital, built with half the kingdom's resources, hailed as lethal to all below the 13th realm, and a siege of 12 legitimate mountain river gods, Liang unleashed the absolute power of a 14th realm sword cultivator. Without exerting his full strength, he shattered 6 national protecting flying swords, destroyed the golden body of the god of the Eastern Mountain, And even Song Shangjing, Great Li's top martial artist, could not withstand a single casual sword ki from him. In the end, he cut off the Great Li Emperor's longevity bridge, abolished his cultivation, and reduced the fake white jade capital symbol of imperial arrogance and tyrannical oppression to ruins. On the surface, this act was revenge for Qi Jingqin. In truth, it was a coordinated ruse with Kui Huan, the Great Li state preceptor. Using an outsider's hand, they uprooted the Liu clan of Central Earth's influence in Great Li, clearing obstacles for the kingdom's strategy of one continent, one nation. Single-handedly, Liang stirred the storms of the Haoran world, settling scores for betrayal while protecting the well-being of all living beings, showing a vision far beyond personal grudges. When the wilderness world and the Haoran world erupted into all-out war, Liang was imprisoned at the abyss mouth by Tuyu Mountain. Even in this desperate situation, he used his 14th realm cultivation as a nail, driving himself into the mountain to suppress countless wronged spirits and ferocious ghosts, preventing them from plaguing the mortal world, voluntarily dropping to the 13th realm for this cause. After escaping, he attended the Confucian Temple Council, joined forces with Zuo Yu, the greatest swordsman of their time, and marched back into the wilderness world with their swords. Amid the war-torn land, they fought side by side, slaying the monster clan's kings, and guarded the peace of the Haoran world with blood and sword intent. Every strike of his sword was the perfect embodiment of chivalry and duty, and his figure became the most terrifying presence for the monsters on the wilderness battlefield. Liang's personal charm first lies in his sincere devotion to his heart and emotions. He seems cynical and carefree, often introducing himself with "My name is Lang Lang" as in kindness, yet he values loyalty and friendship more than anyone. For his dear friend Kai Jingqian, he held a loyalty beyond life and death. Qi Jingqin's death transformed him from a carefree swordsman into an avenger and guardian burdened with a heavy mission. For the younger Chen Pinggan, he was both mentor and friend, teaching him not just sword techniques, but guiding him down the right path of the sword Dao through his own actions. For all living beings under heaven, he carried a profound sense of responsibility. Even exiled by his clan and misunderstood by the world, he still chose to raise his sword and fight, protecting the world in his own way. His sincerity was no empty slogan, but a code of conduct woven into every sword strike and every choice he made. The contrast between his uninhibited freedom and chivalrous duty creates a captivating allure. He wears a bamboo hat, carries a bamboo saber at his waist, slings a wine gourd over his shoulder, and leads a white donkey. His legs wrapped in traveler's bindings, every inch a Jianghu wanderer. He loves wine, having tasted over 100 varieties, and his wine gourd never leaves his side. He loves to tease. When he first met Qian Pinggan, he joked about his faded white linen clothes. In battle, he would utter arrogant yet amusing lines like, "You are all surrounded by me." Yet beneath this seemingly reckless freedom lies zero tolerance for injustice and a fierce desire to protect the weak. He never draws his sword against the vulnerable, only strikes at unfairness. When common folk are bullied by cultivators, he removes his hat and steps forward, growling, "What skill is there in bullying the weak?" He shows mercy in his vengeance, knowing Qi Jingqin would not want decades of Great Li's enlightenment to be lost. He stops at the right moment, avenging his friend while sparing the people. This, reckless on the surface, pure at heart, nature lifts him beyond the stereotype of a one-dimensional character, making him a vivid, warm, and principled real hero. His arrogant forthrightness and profound wisdom further define his charm. His arrogance stems from absolute confidence in his sword Dao and his own strength. He dares to raise his sword to question the heavens and challenge powerhouses of the same realm. This is not conceit, but a pure pursuit of the sword Dao. He is forthright, hating to beat around the bush. He never resorts to schemes and duels, and even when challenging the Great Li Imperial Palace, he marched in openly, counting down from 10 to 1 to give his foes ample time to prepare. Yet he also possesses extraordinary clarity. He sees through Kuiwan's coordinated ruse and understands Qi Jingxun's painstaking effort to build a world through rules and enlightenment. He seems to break rules, yet in truth he upholds the fundamental morality in his own way. This, worldly yet untainted by worldliness, clarity makes him both admirable and approachable. Liang, the rebel from the Second Sage's clan, the unruly fiend of the Sword Key Great Wall, spent his life defining what it means to be a true swordsman. With the character fierce as his brush, he painted his legend on the scroll of the Haoran world, becoming the lonely hero in countless readers' hearts, the one who says, "The Jianghu is nothing special. Only the wine is passable, yet there will always be those who stand up for justice." His sword is not raised for power, fame, or gain, but to uphold the morality in his heart and protect those he loves. His path follows no conventions, no restraints, yet he walks it more firmly than anyone.